Hey guys, it's Matt Hanham here and welcome to the Amplify Your Business podcast. All right, welcome. We're Matt Hanham here and this is the Amplify Your Business podcast and part of my little game changer Lombok series. I have Marciel Audesho with me here and I just nailed the name and I'm really impressed with myself.
I'm impressed too.
I'm really glad that you've joined us and we're just jumping out and grabbing a few stories of entrepreneurs, business coaches, people that are in the place, and because I think it's just we've had a magic few days full of some amazing people and I'd love to share it with our audience. So
beautiful.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So, I mean, who are you and what do you do?
This is a really interesting question. I've been here for 3 days in Lombok and I've been asked this 3 times.
3, is that it?
Who am I? And how do you answer that? So, who am I? I'm different versions. I've realised I'm different versions of myself.
In the right way?
In the right way. What I realised after being asked that question a few times this week is it's really allowed me just to step into that question and go, who actually am I? Am I Marciel the coach at the Game Changers? Am I Marciel who has lived a life of her own journey through her ups and downs and the entrepreneurial journey? So it's a really fascinating story, and I think what I came to when I had a really great conversation with Papa Peak last night over a beer, and we were just having a chat. And what was really fascinating is this: I've really stepped into this space where I am really getting to know myself. Getting to know myself not only through my own experiences, which is about being more empowered, being more grounded as a woman, but really embracing the experience of being, around so many like-minded business owners, and just seeing that I can really add so much value to them through what I've experienced through my life, everything that I've learned in terms of human behaviour, and more importantly, how I can support their growth in their journey. So who am I? I'm Marciel, I'm 36, and I am really stepping into a place of enjoying the journey of life more, I have to say.
Okay, so you're Marciel, you're 36.
Yes.
You're a coach for the Game Changers, which is...
slash integrator.
Slash integrator.
Yes.
Basically, obviously, empowering entrepreneurs in their journeys, but maybe take me on a bit of a long or short or mid-range version of how we sort of chronologically sort of achieved that the current position that you're in. How did you, what's your background and how did you sort of move through a few different things that you've done, obviously? Yeah,
of course, yeah. Look, as many entrepreneurs or business people, we do start from a place of corporate world, and we soon realise that maybe this is not for me.
Yeah. But was it soon, or it
took a little while actually? Yeah, look, it was interesting because my corporate journey, it actually gave me a lot of that foundation. And what I mean by that is it allowed me to actually see how the big wigs do it. And with the roles that I attained through that time, I came from being, first of all, I've been a trainer facilitator, I've been a team leader, I've been an integration manager, I've been the risk education manager for a bank, so I've attained lots of roles. And I think through that I was able to really look at how I can work with people and lead, how I can empower them and take accountability. So that really helped with my cultural side of things, which was amazing. I was able to embed lots of processes and systems and ways that we can actually do more things more effectively and efficiently. I always had these 2 rules in corporate life. It was always model someone who's doing it better than you and say yes to opportunities. So by doing those 2 things, I learnt very quickly that if I modelled and attained mentors through my corporate journey, I was able to really quickly realise where my opportunities were, which people say gaps or weaknesses, but I call them opportunities. And I learnt quickly and I stepped into that space and I went through that period of my life very quickly. And what's really fascinating is I got to the stage where I had all these skill sets, but I was a master of really nothing. Like, it was really interesting, right? And then I thought to myself, okay, do I actually want to be working in this corporate environment, right? So then I started to open up the channels of what else is there. And I then realized that I wanted to do consulting. I wanted to be able to go in and take all my skill sets and go into an organization and help improve businesses, help them grow, become more efficient. And over the whole banner that I really focused on for a period of time after my corporate life was to improve customer experience and people experience in businesses. Okay. So that's a big chunk of what I did, and I did that for 4 years, and I travelled around Australia doing that for many sized businesses, but mainly large to enterprise level. And it was just fascinating to go into that journey. During that time, I actually also suffered from very severe depression through my own personal journey of what was going on. And nothing gets me down in life because I've got a lot of courage and a bit of a fighter. But what I realized is when I went through that depression, I went through that stage where I was needing to seek support and take on some, get medication and go down a journey that allowed me to find out more about what's going on. I then immersed myself into human behaviour. So you hit rock bottom, you start to rebuild, but I literally went, okay.
Well, you start searching. Right?
You search.
You start looking for answers,
right? Absolutely. Understand, why am I thinking this? Why am I behaving this way? How can I move from a place that I'm at to a better place? So you've got one part of me, which is doing the customer experience, going through systemizing businesses, doing all these amazing things, meeting amazing people. And then you've got the other part of me that's coping with the mental illness, the mental health side of things at the same time, right? So, but I was very much supported, and I was very much, the consultancy was amazing because it gave me time to go study to build back the foundations. So I studied neuro-linguistics programming, I studied coaching professionally, and then I also studied the MBIT, which is the understanding of the three brains of the body, the heart, head and the gut. And all that combined, I then started to move more into working with business owners and then applying the human behavioural aspect.
Where did that transition come? I mean, we talked a lot about enterprise and corporate level. And then after, obviously, not retraining, but adding some skill sets, you've shifted to a smaller business sort of operation. How did that evolve, or where did that adjustment come from?
It was fascinating because I actually started to surround myself with more small business owners when I moved more into
because you were one.
Yeah, because I was one. Yeah. I started to move more into doing my own. I was just running my own workshops, and then I started to understand more around small businesses, and I could see the opportunities in terms of, human behaviour. It underpins everything. I saw that they would literally reach this glass ceiling, and they would literally go, okay, at the end of the day, we all know a certain way of being through the system, through the environment, through the experience of what we go through life, right? Yeah. And what I saw, which was a common theme, was they got to this point of like resistance, and the resistance was the limitation of can I? Right? Yeah, right. Yeah. So they came up against themselves. It fascinated me, and then the business side of things was around really the planning. Like I immersed myself into how do we actually get them to take action? How can I plan to actually take action and achieve some of these goals and what are they actually trying to achieve? So there was a real gap in that space. So I started to really work with business owners because fundamentally it's the same framework, right? So really understanding what is the why are you doing what you're doing, who are you doing it for, and how are we going to do this? Get clear on that.
So, I mean, when you talk about the whys, I mean, the corporates and the enterprises all sort of have their whys, and I don't know how sort of attached any one person or any group of people really are towards those. Where did you Where did you start to bring that in with the smaller businesses, and like how did you bring that transition through? Because I gather there was probably some amazing stuff that you learnt in the enterprise corporate space that you could adapt for the small business and give them skills, because often they're not well rounded when they walk straight out and start a business out. They need to pick things. But where did the infusion of the sort of mission and purpose and values come in for you?
For me and my business, or for more of them?
If it was for you and your business, then sure, and I can understand how that would happen, and then you push that outwards, or is it something that you just witnessed and realised this is what small businesses needed and wanted?
The biggest, this is what I saw in businesses, and maybe because I experienced being part of some business education groups myself, and being through the journey myself, I started to realise that I knew the fundamentals of what was going on, but what I realised that the gap is there's really no connection to why we were doing what we were doing. So there was no purpose or value alignment, first of all. And then there was actually no planning. It was literally go out and do it and see if it works.
And keep trying and just keep doing and just keep doing and just keep doing.
It was really fascinating. So I implemented that. That was the first thing. I knew that people had a product or a service. And I've worked now with a number of businesses, and the gap in what I identified was that it's getting congruent with why they were doing what they were doing, and what is the purpose of that, and why. And if you look at the long term, what is that going to give you? And getting that alignment really allowed people to go, okay, so when I hit those shit times, and I have the lulls, at least I know the lulls will come, but I know there's a grander reason and purpose why. So I really started to work with business owners, last couple of years, to get that alignment happening, that congruency within them, using the behavioural techniques and modelling that I've used. And then it was the planning. It's okay, so how do we then take action? Because in the world of entrepreneurship and small businesses, there's a real to be a true entrepreneur, it's about stepping into a place where you have the emotional intelligence, you have those skill sets, and you're nimble in a way to take risks, to actually move through those times. And when you're taking people from an environment where we've got a large number of people who don't want to be in a corporate environment for whatever their reasons are. But it's really interesting how it's not as easy to adapt to the small business life.
Oh, adapting is crazy. I mean, look, I'm ex-corporate too, and the amount of people I know still in that space that are, I think they struggle. There's some good things that they've got too, and I think they struggle to be grateful for some of those, but they could not tolerate, and I get told often, we just could not tolerate the risk. The uncertainty, even just the initial minor risk of seed capital type money to start things, because they've never been in a situation. And my personal experience around that is you actually can build up that resilience over time and just get more and more used to dealing with more and more risk and more and more responsibilities for more and more people and all those types of things as well, because the funny thing is with the small businesses, you end up walking out and paying many people's mortgages instead of just yours and otherwise. So, but there's so many people I find in that corporate space that look and think the grass is greener, but just not willing to grow into the space that allows them to sort of take some of those risks and make some real changes in their life.
Totally, and I think, if anyone's considering and going and starting a business of their own, I would certainly this is the first, if people have come to me and said, I want to start a business, I said, great, what is it that you want to do? I want to do, X, Y, Z. And I said, awesome. The first thing I would absolutely recommend for anyone who wants to get out there is just start a side hustle. Keep in the job that you're in, have the foundation that you've got. So give yourself that stability. Don't go quit your job tomorrow and start the side hustle. Your system, in terms of your body, your belief system and everything, it will just collapse because it won't calibrate quick enough.
Well, that's not how I did it.
I know, but for the majority, I would certainly suggest start a side hustle or go work in a space where you can learn from the inside, where you can be more aligned to where you want to be.
I agree, actually. I think that's a really valid point.
Yeah.
And something that I really like that, because it's something that's not talked about much. I mean, you're in a corporate job, for example, and okay, it's a big leap. The side hustle's a really good option and something to test the waters, but the other option, which really doesn't get talked about, is okay, get rid of that job, drop a little bit of income most likely, and go sit behind a small 4 or 5 person business and entrepreneur and see, get yourself close, but not right at the tip of the spear, and see if you can really handle it. You've still got an income, you've still got some risk, but nowhere near the same risk that you would have by jumping out and starting yourself.
Totally.
So that's a really good point.
Yeah, and I think through that experience, what you start to realize is, the reality is, if you're not happy and this is what I've seen as well in the work that I've done, it doesn't matter if you're in a corporate work or you work at a cafe or you work, down, at the shops or wherever you're going to work. If you're not happy within yourself, doesn't matter what you do, you will take yourself with you, right? So ultimately, work on yourself. Find out what lights you up. Go start doing some hobbies, do some work experience, or just offer some volunteer work or whatever it might be. Work out what it is. Is it within you that you need to transform or transcend some stuff within you to allow you to be in a more happier space? Or is it that you really want to be in a space where you can be more aligned to your values and to what you want to be doing, which is aligned to your purpose. So just have a check on that.
Yeah. So on that, sort of what is your vision and purpose, and how do you sort of articulate that?
Me?
Yeah.
Look, I think I feel it's really interesting because my initial what's coming to light more and more is I absolutely want to support and teach and educate business owners to step into the realness of who they are and to actually achieve success and design a life by design, which is why I joined the Game Changers, right? Because there's very much an alignment of what I've been doing and what they've been doing. And I also have very much a passion in being able to teach and educate and almost showcase a lot of the mentors that I've used and what's actually possible and what's out there for people to tap into to help them through the journey that they're in. So for me, it's about, we are all humans, but we actually don't know about who we are and how we operate. Yeah. And we need to be able to educate more about that. So for me, it's about helping people transcend and to step into the truth of who they are.
Yeah, so I feel like, I've moved through a few different businesses and been in business, so to speak, for about a 10-year period. And there's just this, whether I was missing it or otherwise, but there's just so much more available now in terms of whether it's just education, whether it's coaching, just general support groups. I mean, obviously social media has actually, on the community side of things, really created the opportunity, because it certainly for me was a very isolating space early on, and I still think it's a very isolating situation.
Totally, yeah.
However, there's just so much more access to so many more like-minded people available now, and obviously you're providing a big part of that, and education and support to all these people. So that's awesome. But I'm going to change pace a little bit, what's something that your family and friends might say about you that generally the average coaching client or person in your professional community might not know about?
I'm a big fan of asking for feedback.
Okay. I
learned that a while ago from a mentor of mine, is if you meet someone new, ask for feedback. Yeah. So, I'm just curious, what is it about me that what was your first impression? Because I always like that. My friends and family would probably say that I'm probably, I give a lot. I care, and I'm a very, I have utmost, I have no judgment for people. I'm supportive, and I'm always looking for the bit to see people succeed in what they do. So I'm very much a fun-loving person.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I can, to my family, maybe my brother and stuff like that.
Oh, well, I'm not sure if you're dodging the question here, but I'm just looking for some quirky hobby or something.
Oh, quirky hobby?
What's something people don't really
know about
you?
me. Wow. Okay, that's a really good question. I like to sing.
Really?
Yeah, I like to dance, and I love to sit. One of my favourite things to do is to lay under a tree.
And sing and dance?
Yeah,
Well,
if I have a drink or so, like maybe I'll take a microphone of someone. But
So you lay under a tree, and
Yeah.
I mean that might sort of lead into my next line of questioning. But laying under a tree, is that you sort of talking down a meditative practice right now, just like enjoying being grateful out there in nature, or just there's something about trees that you just like to lay under?
Yeah, look, I've learned really quickly. I learned a long time ago that I have to ground myself a lot.
Yeah.
And people may not know this about me. I'm a bit of a lark, and I like to have fun, and I love people. But I'm actually quite an introvert as well.
Yeah.
Like I like my space. I like to just be, and I like to ground myself. And laying under a tree, that's probably the closest I can get to the ground.
Yeah, that's.
But
really
I'm just really quite. I just lay and I just observe, and I actually. It's not meditation. I don't, it's the gratitude and things. That always is something that I tap into. But I actually tap into more of my senses. How far can I hear? Like, what can I hear?
So it sort of
I
is
try and
a bit
test
of a
my body.
personal space that you're sort of moving into. And that's really interesting because I actually identify myself that way.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoy people and groups, but I find that that's actually an energy draining situation for me. And although that's how I want to live, I then sort of need to go away and sit by myself for a little while, or ground, allow myself that space to actually recalibrate. And whereas I know a lot of people who love to be out in front of a lot of people and talking and jumping around, and that's actually what gives them more energy. So we're obviously very similar in that sort of track, which is really quite interesting. So do you have, sort of two questions in one, but do you have a morning routine, and how does a normal week look like? How do you structure a week? Yeah,
cool. Look, my morning routine is I pretty much, when I wake up in the morning, I have alarms set for when I wake up. I do a time where my alarm will go off. It's a very pretty sound as I wake up. I feel
Calming.
like I'm like, morning. I wake up.
It's not Jackson 5 or anything.
No, it's definitely not. I wake up and I just stop and breathe. And I just connect, and I literally say thank you for today in my mind, and I can see the light or whatever, because I truly believe that it's a privilege to wake up every day. And I think that's something that I'm very, very honoured and to have. So I say thank you for the day. And then for me, I just really just take a few deep breaths and connect. I typically want to be able to, I typically just then go, what's my intention? So I set 3 intentions of who I want to be today. Yeah. And then I get up and I do my what I got to do. And I don't listen to radio, I don't watch TV, so I don't pop that on at all. Yeah. I actually put on some type of Abraham Hicks or some type of motivational thing in the background. Okay. And I listen.
Every morning?
Mostly, I do that, or put some music on or something like that, just to fill myself up with some information, or just to listen to something inspiring. And I just feel like I'm constantly calibrating into that. The more clearer and cleaner that I am within myself, that's the better work that I do. Okay. So I really allow myself to do that. And then essentially I take myself off for my day of whatever that is. And again, I don't listen to, it really sounds really weird, but I don't listen to the radio. I listen to podcasts. It's
not that weird. That's all I do.
Yeah, I know. People, we're like-minded, right?
Know your audience. Anyone listening to this podcast may be interested in the podcast as well. Yeah. Look, I totally. It's not. I mean, it's certainly not weird, and I think it's something that's picking up a lot more. Yes. And there's obviously sometimes the radio's on and those types of things, but it's something that's more and more common with anyone that I sort of very broadly put into sort of having a growth mindset.
Absolutely.
And you just want to fill yourself with more information, knowledge, or even just reaffirming, sort of other things that you may have learned in the past. So that's I wouldn't put that in the weird category.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Also, I think what's really important is I get to, I typically do like with boxing or yoga or things like that. So I try and move my body as much as I can in the morning. But yeah, and then I basically in the car, and sometimes I just go in silence and I just connect, and it's just really
we are a little alike.
I know. Yeah. Oh, really? That's really cool.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. I just really connect and I listen. I've really been learning to listen more and more, and it's been really good actually. I'm getting that's who am I? I'm still always getting to know who I am.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's
a fascinating question. I mean, do we ever really have an answer for that?
I am what I am. Yeah. I am who I am. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. But no, I'm listening more to my intuition. I'm trying to cut out the sound, dull out the noise, and really listen to what is it that is the voice within myself. What's it saying? Yeah. And let's just have a chat to the little girl inside of me and see if she's okay.
Awesome. That's awesome. So you brought up podcasts. So it's a perfect in for me to ask. I'm always searching for new ones and things like that. So do you have a couple of favourite podcasts, either all time or something you're just listening to at the moment, and or sort of books which you think are quite powerful that might be worth mentioning here?
I'm really bad with like titles and names and things like that. So I'm listening to one. I listened to Abraham Hicks a bit, so that's really cool. I'm listening to one called what's the one I'm doing at the moment? It's probably a bit spiritual, but it's really about. I'm really terrible with names. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll link it underneath. So if you just talk about it close enough, we'll work it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sweet. What it is it's on my phone. I've got the list on my phone. If I can get my phone. But Barry actually suggested it to me, and it's really, really cool. And it goes a bit spiritual, but what it really allows you to do is to realise it's all about vibrations of who you are. Okay. And it's about being in alignment of that vibration of who you are. And when you're in that alignment, you almost are opening out the opportunities and the channels to be able to, to really just to step into some of those things. So there's so much on the podcast, and I'll give you some insight onto some books. Rocket Fuel is one that I've looked at. Oh, here we go. Rocket Fuel. Yep. So if you what's really great about this book is it's an audio, and it really helps you understand the difference between a creator and an integrator, and what the roles are. And I think that's what's really fascinating, being able to work alongside Barry. I'm a creator, which is interesting, but I'm also have the integrator type skill set. So that's Rocket Fuel is a really great book if you really want to know as a business owner, for you to be the creator and to actually own that, which is in your highest values for who you are. Find yourself an integrator and find someone who can actually do the integration part of your business, which is the actually doing part of the business. So that's a really great book.
I'm going to have to read that because a lot of people have said that book, and have given me that title recently.
It is actually quite good. Yeah. I'm a true believer that very quickly, if you're in business, find out what you're good at and just stick to that. I know that a lot of the time it all comes down to money and time, right? But do what you're good at and do that 80% of the time. Yeah. If you spend your energy on that 80% of the time and generate the revenue and generate the progress and the momentum from that space, joint venture, find someone who can come in, or an intern or something that will someone who will come in and do that other part, the integrator part role, or whatever it is, that will allow you the freedom and the space to do what you do really well. So that's a fantastic book.
Awesome.
The other book I would say to read, it's an audio, is The Game of Life and How to Play It. Okay. That's a really great book. It literally talks you through the game of life. How do you actually... It's all vibrational, so talk to you about your vibrations, your mindset, what you say, what actually shows up. And probably the last one I am looking is Addicted to Success by John Assaraf. So that's another one that I'm
awesome.
Going on
Some
to.
really great books there, and there's a couple there that I've heard of but not actually read. So I'll definitely have to dig in. So that's really cool. So we'll just do a couple of quick questions and just get ready to close. So the first one is, would you have one tip for people that are really looking to amplify and grow their business? What's the one thing that you think they should either implement or consider or get serious about to start to grow their business?
Yeah, this is a really interesting. It depends on which stage of business they're at.
Sure.
But if I was to say anything, understand your niche. Like really get what underpins everything. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you can't market your business and attract people to your offer, your product or your service, and you do that to the right audience, that's if you can get really laser focused on that, and then you can learn or find someone to put them on to get it on the platform, social media, all that. But what underpins everything at the moment is getting your message, getting your offer, service or product in front of the right people. So really get to know your niche. If you know that and you're generating business and you're getting the right clients, systemize a business.
The rest is just tactics, right? I mean, if you know what you're doing and who you're actually targeting,
that's it.
Which thank you very much for leading that straight into what I love to practice and preach as well. But that's exactly right. I mean, and you probably have the same opinion. I would suspect from that point is that you see so many people that are really hustling, but they really haven't nailed down their niche. And I'm not sure you can ever really absolutely nail it. I think you constantly keep seeking that continual niching down of where you stand, and it's amazing the results once you can get closer. Yeah.
I probably would say as well is, and you're right, you're never going to, you can't be I suppose the key point is this: don't be everything to everybody. Like just find a tribe, right? And find out where they hang out and find out who they know and, whatever that is. The other thing I would seriously suggest is really understand the language that they use. If I was to, it's like when you go buy a car for the first time, right? As soon as you buy the car, you see the car everywhere. It comes into your filters, right?
The yellow car.
Right.
The yellow car.
Same thing as language. So we are all like-minded because we talk the same talk. Your clients and your customers, if you go out there with a marketing campaign because you're pitching it or your language you're using is what you think is what they want to hear, and if you don't understand the language, then try and hit the mark more about the words and what they say. The best thing to do is you can do a number of things. Go survey your customers. Go look to see what are they saying. So in the pain point, what are they saying? So they might be, I'm sick and tired of this. I feel angry or anxious when this happens, or whatever it might be. If that's the language that they're using, use that language, because human behaviour tells us they hear that, and that actually hits more home to them because they're using that language. Then when you go into the solution mode of what's available, it will your conversion rates would be a lot higher.
Amazing. Well, listen, thank you very much. Where if people want to find out a bit more about you or the Game Changers, where should they go? How can they connect?
Sure, you can go to LinkedIn, which is my LinkedIn page, and you can find Marciel Audesho. It's spelled MarcielAudesho. Or you can go to thegamechangers.com.au if you want to check out the Game Changers. And other than that, I'm sure you'll find me on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I'm very, very pleased to have you on board, and that was an amazing conversation, and I'm really glad that we've managed to record that. So, thanks very much. And for everyone listening, definitely check out the books and recommendations from that. And if you want to reach out to Marciel, I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. So thank you very much. And this has been Matt Hanham and the Amplify Your Business podcast. And I think we might squeeze another couple of Lombok special Game Changer week. we'll get another couple of podcasts in. We've got another couple of guests coming, so look forward to those coming soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, guys, it's Matt here, and thanks so much for listening to the Amplify Your Business podcast. It means the world to me that you've listened all the way through, and I'd love it if you could share it with your friends, if you want to.